to begin.
Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Social Primate Podcast. What's up? Episode 30. We got Megaman. We got Stephen Martinez, right?
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Dude, I'm
Mega Man.
Thank you for inviting me on the podcast, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. This is my second time on the Super Audio Network. I mean, I'm gonna hopefully we'll schedule for a VIP podcast pretty soon. But thank you for letting me come on the podcast.
Yeah, of course, man. Anytime. You know, I came across you. I think we were talking about it briefly before this. A few months ago, I went to the. You said it was called the
La Cura
Comedy
over there
Club
at the Paramount Theater.
Yes, you know, I went. I got some free tickets, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole time I was there, it was a great night, dude. There was hilarious people. I'm horrible with names, so I can't fucking pinpoint the names of who was there that night. But
I think it was Martin Moreno, Hooter, Cisco. I know Frank from No Father, No Problem podcast was there. Rodrigo Torres. I mean, there were some killers out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was a good one. You know,
Yeah.
at some point somebody's pointing at me, and I'm like, fucking like, just making a joke up like related to me, and I'm like, God damn it, I shouldn't have sat in the front. You know, but.
No, I always want to sit in the middle or in the back, but if it's in the front, you know you're gonna get clowned.
Yeah, I didn't know that. You know, it's my second time going to a comedy show, so I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not doing the front row anymore.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the whole night, you know, like I mentioned earlier, all you hear is like occasionally like Mega Man or like Mega Man's here, and I was like, dude, who the hell is Mega Man? Who's his name? You know?
Well, the Mega Man that came out because that was my favorite video game in the regular Nintendo. But how everything started was I always been a hardcore podcast listener. You know, I think the first two podcasts I ever listened to was The Fighter and the Kid with Brian Callen and Brandon Schaub, and also with Joe Rogan and everything. So always been that.
The Godfather.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Godfather. You know, so. And he I guess how everything all started with the whole myth of Mega Man, you know. Joe Rogan invited George Perez on the podcast, and Joe Rogan told George Perez, hey, you should do a podcast. He's like, for real? It's like, yeah. So I guess in a couple weeks later, I was just wanted to see if he did make a podcast. So I went to Apple Podcast search, and he made a George Perez podcast with Sidekick Eddie, producer Xavier. Xavier does the Tinfoil Hats podcast with Sam Tripoli.
Ah, okay.
You know, and all that stuff. So I quickly subscribed, binge it, you know, started hearing them. It was original. I started going to the comedy shows. When I started listening to the George Perez, he had some well-known comedians, which, I mean, now I know, but back then I didn't know who they were, like Martin Moreno, Felipe Esparza from the What's Up Food podcast, you know, and I just started hearing it. Then they had other people's podcasts, like, you know, Felipe, Martin, and I started hearing that. And George Perez invited me to the 50th episode of the Best Fan, you know, because I always give love. And I was nervous.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a podcast like. Oh shit, I hear it, but can I do it? And I was like, nah, fuck that. It was like it was okay, you know. And plus, I was like all fucking high and shit.
Yeah, it was your first time ever
doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And seeing how the behind the scenes and all I get to know. It's just I wasn't me, you know. And 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, you just had on Super Audio Network, Martin Rizzo.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was the person that got me into the podcast game. He invited me on, and we started doing a podcast. He had a podcast called Squad by the Bell, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, you know, if you're gonna be on the podcast, you know, I should teach you how to do it from Anchor." Yeah, I started doing it and all that stuff, and he teach me, and I was gonna quit the podcast because I started doing it for 2 days. I'm a little hard-headed, so I'm trying to see things different, and I accidentally put intro and an episode 1 together. You know, it was like shitty. It was like only like 34 minutes. Then a week or two later, I was looking at live with Felipe Esparza from the What's Up Food podcast. He said, shout outs to fucking Mega Man from the Mega Man's podcast. Fucking do it and follow him. Whoa, shit. Then I had over, like, no, not exaggerating, over 100 messages. He's like, hey, I want to hear it, whatever. Start following and stuff like that. And I didn't know. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? Because I have no experience whatsoever. Then in the beginning, I was talking about like pussy and this or drop. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is not for me. And
it's funny because you basically got thrown into the lion cage.
Yeah, let's see what you're made of, Mega
Yeah.
Man. And people would tell me you should do this, but I was like, I don't know. I had one foot. I was like, I quit. Then all of a sudden, it's like, wait, let me play around with it. Then little by little, I figured it out. And then all of a sudden, my numbers over everything was dropping. It's like, man, if I'm gonna do a podcast and I want people to know me not as Mega Man, but as Stephen Martinez, like, let's do something different. You know, I want to start over, and I started doing the Mega Man's life.
Yeah.
You know, part 1 through 5, and talk about my life when I was little till now, and the struggles I've been through, being in a broken home, having everything, then losing everything, then having everything, losing everything, and being in redemption. You know, I was mentally abused, sexually abused. I was emotionally abused. Just everything. I was just more like a unwanted stepchild.
Yeah.
You know, my parents were never around. You know, my dad moved on, remarried. My mom was more like a single parent, but she was working 2 or 3 jobs, so I was like alone didn't have that father figure. And you know, a lot of the times, you know, I was, you know, I was left alone. It's like, what am I gonna do? I mean, I have no support or whatsoever. So that's where I started doing the Mega Man's Life, for a lot of the listeners and everyone to know, to get to understand my journey of what I've been through from when I was little until now.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel like the Mega Man's podcast is like, it's like a redemption podcast. You know, I had everything, I lost everything. Now I got my life back together again.
Damn, dude, that's fucking deep. I had the chance to listen to the your life parts. I think I went up to like part 3.
Yeah.
Dude, it was interesting, man. Because you know, at least from other podcasts that I've listened to, I know, you know, every podcast kind of has like their own thing. But what you barely hear is people talking about them, like what's really going on, like the honest part of yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what when I started hearing it, I was like, oh damn, dude, this guy's going pretty deep, you know, internally, you know, for yourself.
And it's hard because a lot of people don't want to open up, and you know, people might use that against them.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't have nothing to hide. It's like, hey, I'm not the perfect boyfriend, I'm not the perfect husband, I'm not the perfect guy, because you know, I was taught the wrong way back then. But now, how society is, where you see on social media, where I'm reading books, I'm hearing audio and everything, I'm little by little, I'm changing how I see things now. You know, I was taught the wrong way when I was little. So now, being, you know, I'm going to be 40 this year, I learned so much, everything. And I calmed down my stress, calmed down with my anger. Slowly I'm moving from the past, because, you know, it hurts, because I feel like my family and my parents neglected me, and they left me and my kids, my 2 boys, to be homeless.
Damn, dude. Well, for my question is, like, did this start happening at what point? Like, when did you come to that realization? That was it because of was it the podcast, or just because you're opening up yourself more?
Yeah, I was opening up. I was kind of opening myself more, because I didn't want to I need to let it out. I wanted to vent, you know, and I don't want to go to a counselor and stuff like that. So I feel like podcast to me was my Dr. Phil. You know, I want to let everyone know, I was like, I gotta get this out. If not, it's gonna kill me deep inside. So that's when I started doing the Mega Man's Life. I want people to know my story. If it can help out 1 or 2 or 100 or millions of people, I'm for it, you know, and everything.
Of course.
And it's a inspiration story, but it's real, you know. And when everything happened, when me and my ex have a daughter with, we split up. Things didn't work out, you know, and she kicked me and my 2 boys, and we were couch surfing. We're living in different family places, and until that ran out, and I was like, well, fuck, we're living in our car, we were living in shelters, we were homeless, we're living in storage. There was times in the summer we're living in storage, and there'll be rats biting me and my kids, you know, and everything. Dude. And we were living in our cars, you know. We were living in bathrooms, you know. It's just, we try to hide my car from the repo. I was 2 payments behind. I had to pay. If not, where were we gonna live? Because everything changed, because me and my kids were gonna move up north, but my mom, I mean, it sucks to throw her under the bus, but she didn't want nothing me with the kids. I mean, that was our last shot for me to move over there, because I have no family over here. So she left me and my kids on the streets, you know, and that's kind of messed up when you have a mother that says, oh, I love you, but it's more like a kind of hypocritical, like, oh, I love my grandkids. Like, no, you don't, because if you did give a fuck, you would try to be there for us, but you did.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why I had to dig deep inside to get out of this hole, you know. And I was stressed out. There was times I always wanted to commit suicide.
Fuck.
Yeah, because I didn't know what to do. And plus their mother didn't want the kids, so I was being a mom and a dad, you know, and everything.
Dude, that's fucking.
It's a lot of
fuck,
it's crazy, you know. But I dig deep, you know. I try to save up money, and I took some money. I had no other way. It's like, what am I gonna do? Take money out of my 401k and get a loan, and I was putting application fees, $40 here, $30 here, whatsoever. Then one person called me out of like 50 or 60, you know, application fees and all, and we finally got our own apartment. And I'll never forget until this day, when we moved and got to our own apartment. Everything was in the storage. The only thing we had was an air mattress and food, like cup of noodles and a microwave and blankets. We had 2 air mattresses, put it together. Me and my 2 boys were sleeping because now we have a roof over our head. I could not fucking stop crying the whole day because I have never had my own place since I was the age of 22.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking rough, man.
It's rough. And now I feel like this is why I'm doing the podcast. This is why, like, I got to keep on going, because my story needs to be told. My podcast needs to be told, because I'm doing this because I know a lot of people give me shit for this because I go, that's corny, Mega Man. It's like, well, podcast saved my life. Yeah. You know, if it wasn't for podcasts, what would I be doing and stuff like that, you know?
Dude, no, it's true, you know, because you want to say something?
From the live feed, Jay Wolvie says, wow, sending blessings to him and his children.
Damn.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Thank you, Jay Wolvie.
Yeah.
The camera.
What's up?
But no, dude, that's fucking, you know, it's crazy because, you know, although for sure I don't have similar experiences as you do, you know, to an extent I had, you know, I also had a child with an ex at this point, you know, and it's not the same thing as you went to close to it at all, but I can relate to that part of the experience, you know, and just feeling like you're completely powerless. And I can assume that being in your position, that emotion is multiplied like by fucking tenfold, you know. And it's crazy because a lot of people don't want to put themselves in those shoes sometimes, and they just think that, you know, things are easy, you know, when things are not really that difficult.
And I think in a way it's hard for people to understand me, even if it comes to my ex or my lady. Well, I don't know if we're still together or not, because she doesn't understand what the stuff that I've been through. You know, I guess in a way she can't relate. Right. You know, and I always tell people, like, if you've been through my shoes and everything, how I've been through, like, you'll be like, fuck, how do you do it? And at the same time, also, I was stressed out because before I did the podcast, you know, my daughter, you know, she's turned 3. Yeah. At the time, I wasn't there because my daughter, when we found out, she had a tumor in her stomach the size of a pomegranate, and took one of her kidneys out. I didn't know what to do, you know, and at the time, and we and her were just bashing heads, you know, and I couldn't be around that, so I was trying to be there for my daughter, but it wasn't I needed to focus on me. I know it sucks in a way, like I don't want to say abandon my daughter, but it's like I need to figure out me first. You know, I need to, like, be calm and, you know, let the stuff go away. I just can't be, when there's drama and there's negativity, I can't be around that. Yeah. I cannot. It's like, it's not me.
You gotta for sure take a step back.
Step back. I step back on a lot of people. You know, ever since I've been doing the podcast, you know, it helped me out so much, mentally, emotionally, and, you know, it just helped me out so much, and that's why I feel like I have to keep on going the podcast. But because this is, I feel like I'm more grounded. Yeah. You know, I don't want to be doing stupid shit out there or this. I just want to keep on doing podcasts, so it would help me not be antisocial. It helps me not to have a stuttering problem.
For sure.
It helps me to make more friends. It helps me to make like a good network of other people and make, you know, good friends. You know, I want to have good, positive people.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. I think it's pretty cool, because that's actually one of the reasons why I kind of feel like I started doing it at first and continue to do so. Yeah. Because again, I'm not like the biggest person that will be socially in the group and socially active at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm the first one to leave maybe sometimes, or just sit in the corner, hang out in the bag just with one person. So I'm not that type of I'm introvert, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, once you start opening up yourself to those experiences, you start meeting people.
Yeah.
You keep communication with those people. You start seeing like a network start growing on its own, and then that in itself kind of teaches you more about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the greatest things that you can get from something like this. And again, it sounds cheesy, but
No.
you're basically creating conversation with somebody random that I it's the first time I meet you.
Yeah.
But we're kind of put in a situation where we kind of have to have a conversation, but within that conversation, we each kind of like understand each other more about ourselves, type of thing. Whether we want to do it again or not,
Yeah.
But dude, that's one of the reasons why I kind of still pursue that, and then it's a good feeling, and I think which is why when I first came across the Megaman podcast, I was like, dude, these are cool conversations. They're honest, they're real, they go fucking to a side that a lot of us try to avoid. Like, we don't want to have these conversations with ourselves. And then when you hear somebody's having them, you're like, okay, maybe it's not wrong for me to feel this way and to even talk about it, and that opens just some more things for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like every person has different paths in lives, it's the experience,
Right.
And like Felipe Esparza, I don't want to throw him under the bus, or for example, he talks about like he had a drug addiction and everything, and he got he got help from when he back in the day. Now he's all sober, now he's big, and Homeboy Industry, yeah,
That's him.
yeah, Felipe Esparza.
Oh, damn, for real?
No, he got help from the guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Homeboy. Oh, okay.
Father Greg Boyle.
Holy shit.
That would drive me crazy.
Yeah, so he got help and stuff like that. So he got his life back together again. That's, to me, is like, that's an inspiration story right there. And that's what I feel like, when you have Joe Rogan or you have Felipe or whoever has, they had their ups and downs, but they got their shit together. It's like, fuck, if they can fucking do it, I can fucking do it, and that's one of the reasons why I started doing the podcast, and at the time I had one foot in, one foot out. It's like, I don't want to do it, but now everything changed.
Your balls deep.
I think in a way everything happened because I was like, I don't want to do the podcast until I went to this beer festival a while back. And shout outs to Edgar from Beer Thug Life. Shout outs to Bethel Duran, Living the Dream. Shout outs to Martin Moreno. Shout outs to Aaron Bennett from the Newspender Podcast. Those 4 people gave me so much inspiration. Even Felipe Esparza and Martin Rizzo and all that. They gave me so much inspiration to keep on going. Keep on going. You need to do this, do that. Are you going to be in it? Are you going to be serious and all that? And I was like in a crossroad with the podcast. Like, should I do it? Should I not? Like, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think like, oh, I'm gonna do a podcast to make money. It's like, you don't have it's not about making money.
Right.
You got to get out like sponsors like Joe Rogan and shit like that.
Just start seeing something come in.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get exactly what you're saying, dude.
Money. Spend it.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hurt that he's a fucking comedian. One of the
Yeah.
high paid ones right now too. So.
Yeah.
But no, dude. Again, I think that's what makes the conversations. I think for sure that without those, I'm not saying any podcast can't be good without having those human traits to it. But every now and then you do hear something that's kind of sounds generic, sounds scripted, and and I think part of it is just embracing those little things. But the whole conversation we were just having reminds me of this thing. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called The Hero's Journey.
Yeah.
And like the whole point of it is kind of like, as against we might sound cheesy here, but like the whole course of life has its ups and downs. You're gonna have your good moments, you're gonna have your bad moments, but what they've coined it here is called a hero's journey. And as you see the little man on the top, this image could be a lot bigger, but the other one was better.
Everything you Google.
I know.
They fucked up all this image is all about.
Let me see if I can open it real quick. View image, and let's zoom in on that. So, I mean, the little guy starts, so you can say that when you have your downs, you're basically at where it says abyss, death, and rebirth. It's where you don't know who you are. You start questioning things about yourself or those things around you. And you can feel like either you're having those, suicidal thoughts, or in how they have it in these aspects is like the psychedelic version of it. It's like you start your peak. Once you start peaking, you feel fucking great and everything. But when the lows start coming, you start feeling like you're your ego is dying. You know, your sense of self is dying, and it's considered an ego death. And then once you come back, you have like this rebirth to have a new change of perspective, and return back to the real world with all that new gained information and new knowledge, you know, and continue to better yourself at all times. So, you know, I think just hearing what you just talked about kind of reminds me of that. Like you said, when you continued Megaman Podcast, it was kind of like a redemption. You know, you took everything that had happened to you, all that turmoil, and then you somehow figured out how to turn it around, and you came back fucking stronger. You came back as Mega Man.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's the thing, you know, with the Mega Man. It's like, and I want to keep on. A lot of people think like I have ADD because like when you're doing podcasts here. It's like once I'm in a zone, I don't know when to fucking stop. Even like other podcasters or people be like, man, you need to calm down. You're putting too much content out. It's like, well, maybe you need to step your fucking game up.
Dude, honestly, when I saw I was going through I like choosing random episodes, especially when you have a big ass catalog. I just kind of like swipe, see where it lands, kind of like a fucking roulette shit.
Yeah,
Russian roulette, pick it, just start listening to it. And then I saw, dude, you're like 100 and something deep, and I'm like, god damn.
Well, right now I think I'm at one. Well, I think tomorrow I'm gonna put an episode out for Beer Talks 40 with Janine from Annex Brewery, and she was also she worked at Liberation Brewery. That would be episode 118.
Damn.
And I don't like bragging because people always tell me like, you did 100 episodes like fast, because I did 100 episodes like in maybe 10 to 11 months.
Damn.
Usually with people who do 100 episodes, that takes them about a couple years.
I would say.
2 years in my 100.
Yeah.
Shit.
I've already been a year. I think like next month I'm only 30 in.
Because there was times when I had my boys, or I wasn't working that much.
Yeah.
The most episodes I ever did in 1 week was about 16.
A week?
16.
Ooh.
I can't even beat that still. Sometimes I'll be at 10 or 9 or 8, but it's a mental drain. But for some reason I was so in the zone, and when I did 16, I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was just like boom, 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 boom. I was like feeling it. And that's where a lot of people are like, I can't do that. Like, and plus I do overnights, plus I take care of my boys, and plus I'm doing this and all that. Where's your time to sleep? Well, when I'm doing overnight night crew at my job, I'm coming up with ideas for the podcast with this episode. Boom, boom. You know, how am I gonna make it good? How am I gonna make this episode better than the last?
Right.
That's always been, and I think starting from the podcast, I was born with pressure. When you have well-known people and you have eyes looking at you since day one of the episode 1, that's
you have like
hard.
a certain like a standard you kind of have to.
And when and when you have a lot of celebrities or a lot of comedians, a lot of podcasters are eyeing you to see, let's see what Mega Man's all about. And a lot of those critics or a lot of those people who were bashing on me, they're more like quiet now, like, whoa, shit, you know. You don't wake a sleeping giant, you know. And that's why I like to still be humble and just focus on one episode at a time. You know, we all want to be better in the podcast game. It's all about help each other out, you know, and everything. And that's what I want to do, you know. Like, a lot of people are like, well, you should follow your dream. Well, if Joe Rogan started doing the podcast and look where he's at now, that's my dream, you know. That's everyone's dream. Yeah,
you see the first episode and you're like, this guy, what is it? I mean, you know who Joe Rogan was at that point too, you know.
He was talking about pocket pussies and shit. That was a sponsor.
And you see it and you're like, this is not gonna get anywhere. And then you fucking see him now. He's like,
no, I saw the opposite. I thought
you saw it?
awesome.
Oh yeah, really?
I was like, this is amazing. He's talking to us live on the TV.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure the technology. But I mean, just to me, I was like, all right, this is just too goofy. Like, this isn't gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then, dude, he went fucking.
He went hard. When you have Elon Musk and you had Snowden on the podcast, whoa.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders.
Oh yeah,
shit, that's right. Yeah.
Bernie Sanders, Tulsi, you know. Then you had Andrew Lang with the candidates, you know, trying to get. I have a feeling like I think this year he's gonna have a lot of presidential candidates coming on the podcast. That'd be good.
I mean, dude, I think again the thing is, like, he's mentioned it before. It's like when you have, like, let's say you're a reporter, you only get minutes to talk to this person. You know, you barely get to meet them. You kind of don't know their mannerisms. But when you sit down with them for an hour, 2 hours, he goes like fucking 3, maybe 4 hours deep.
Yeah.
It's like you're sitting down and you're getting comfortable as fuck, you know. And the more comfortable you are, you start opening up yourself to, you know, your views, everything around you, and then that's what really gets to other people because they can start relating to you in another form.
The episode I heard I've been venging on. I heard it about 3 times when Joe Rogan invited Tulsi Gabbard and Jocko.
Yeah.
Jocko Willings, right?
Oh my! You heard that episode? Yeah. That was, fuck. Jocko's deep, man.
Talked about the military.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's a fucking.
He's very strategy. Like, you sure that's the right idea to go invade and this? And Tulsi's like trying to figure out a way to dismember like Instagram and Twitter and all that and separate it. Like, it's good talks.
Yeah.
You know, and also with Dan Aykroyd too.
That
was dope, dude. That was dope.
Yeah, he has that's what I like about his podcast, dude. And that's what kind of initially kind of gave me the idea, like, man, I could do it too. You know? I mean, maybe not to his fucking level, but the conversations need to be had. There's people who want to have their voice heard, and like they're involved in shit. So that's which is why Social Primate exists here. You know,
I think in a way when the controversial episode he had is when he had the CEO from Twitter. And the lady who was controlling Twitter, whoever, like, you get banned in this. It was like I think the second.
They had him on twice.
Had him on twice because he had the other guy who was at the social media. He knows all that stuff, what goes on. I think that's very interesting because if you say something, you will get banned. You get 3 strikes on Twitter. And certain things you can't, and even on Facebook or who knows Instagram, what happened with Alex Jones, Like, you're banned.
He's out.
He's out.
Yeah, well, a lot of people gave him that gag, dude. He they shut him down. What was it? I forgot what was the reason they shut him down.
They said that his shit was propaganda or some shit.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was
Infowars.
The new rule. No, what was bullshit is that model that was giving out nudes for people who donated it to Australia? Instagram canceled her account, and she wasn't even doing it on Instagram. She was doing it on Twitter.
Oh my god,
that's the bullshit apart. Anyways,
that's crazy,
there's
man.
too many fucking bullshit. But just before we start, I wanted to bring something up here. But I was by the people that you've talked about, you or your circle has a lot of comedians in some way or another involved, right?
Yeah.
So like talking about comedians, so I got just yesterday we got George Lopez. Somebody shared no, somebody didn't share it. Somebody released a news article or something saying that they're offering like $80 million
for a bounty on his head.
I
saw that.
And then he says, "Oh, we'll do it for half." Funny. I laughed. I was like, that's hilarious. But apparently, a lot of people think it's some serious shit that I think he recently today got a visit from the Secret Service or got contact from them in regards to the joke. So I mean, again, like you being in that, surrounded by that culture. What is that like? Like the very fact that some people decide they have to watch their words and things that they say.
I always say this, and I say to everyone, think before what you say.
Yeah.
You think like you need to really watch what you put on Instagram, on social media, is like, because people are gonna look at you different. Because right now we're living in a very sensitive world, man. You can't do this, you can't say that. People get this, man. Where the fuck does shit come from?
Yeah.
Like, why is people fucking sensitive? Even like I always feel like with me, like people give me a hard time, like, why you always hate on millennials? Because you guys are always entitled. You guys can't know how to take a fucking loss.
Yeah.
You guys fucking cry like little bitches. Like, man up. Instead of like, oh, I can't eat this because it's gluten free. Like, well, fuck it. If you get sick, you get sick. Like, it's just stuff like that. I just can't stand. Like, like they think like they know more because they see on social media. But this is the thing. I feel like with me, I feel like with the new generation, old generation, like I have that, but they're clashing.
Yeah.
And I don't like when the millennials say, well, your instinct's dying. We're going to take over. Okay, go right ahead. But when reality hits the fan, let's see if you're going to be all in. Let's see if you're going to be one of those go-getter survivors. So that's why, to me, I always think, like, what would happen if I was one of those, like, I had a perfect home in this, and maybe I would have been weak-minded. But the struggles that I've been through, as long as I have that mental game, I'm more humble. I know how it is to be homeless. I know how it is to be hit rock bottom, and look where I'm at now. So that's why I always feel like I can't be like that, And that's why I always, like I said, I always stay humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and with that being said, just because, I'm not just being devil's advocate here, like, I was what? I'm 90.
Yeah.
So what is that millennial? Is that I don't know what that is.
No, you were born. You were born in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, millennial. Yeah.
Millennial.
Might be.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Baby boomers are like from, I think, like from the 70s, 60s, or 80s.
Baby boomers were
from
right after World War II.
Yeah.
And then you have the
starting birth years mid-90s to early 2000s.
mid-90s. See, that's what I thought.
Generation Z's.
Because I was born in 83, and I'm like, I'm borderline millennial.
It says
borderline.
It says to early 2000s as ending birth years with 1981 to 1986, a widely accepted definition.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, you're a millennial, Dre.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I'm sometimes in, sometimes out. But I'm like a senior millennial. Like I'm in both worlds. I'm in both worlds.
I think like I'm thinking like a Generation X.
Yeah.
They say you're Generation X.
Yeah. You know, that's what I'm saying. I get to go between both. I get to explain to the Generation X, the millennials, and millennials X. We're the middlemen.
So they say middlemen.
Oh, here
the
we
GI,
go.
what the fuck? GI generation, they're all gone. Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, baby boomers, 1946 to 1964.
That's what I thought it was. Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. 1960. I didn't think it went that deep in the 60s.
Look, I guess 13ers or Generation X is 1979. They're counting 1980 to 2000 as millennials.
Oh, fucking 19. Damn, Generation Y?
No. I get confused.
Fuck, man. I don't want to be millennials.
it was almost Generation Y, but then they went with millennials.
Bastards.
And then the Generation Z is the new ones.
That's the weird one.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I'm kidding. They're not weird. They're just different.
Yeah, just
but,
it's a lot of weird things, you know.
But like, I completely get what you're saying. You know, like me being from '90. You know, I've always heard like, "Hey, you fucking millennial," and it's like, dude, man, like, I don't even know, because again, I think it's your experiences. So, you know, everybody's put like in an experience, different experiences at different times, and you either grow from it or you don't. You know, and it's, you know, I will hope that the majority of people do grow from it. But I think there was an episode I listened with Diosa, Vaya con Diosa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had her like months ago. Oh, you have something, Dre?
Yeah, the Ratchness says, damn, you have an incredible strength, brother. Jay Wolvie said, I love being honest, real open heart. She said she's going to be a fan. She says some other stuff, but I don't want to say it all.
Thank you.
And then the Ratchness says, she called me a millennial. No, I'm not a millennial. And then the Mighty Paris said, peace to all the nations and all the generations. Okay.
Yeah. I completely lost my train of thought, but I think I was saying, no, it's cool, man. It's just me. I need to work on my memory skills. Diosa, yeah, I had her like a year ago. I think she was like one of the early episodes I did. But I think you mentioned something like, I think that you came to a point, I think when you were like closer to your late 30s, that you started like seeing things differently in a sense, you know?
Yeah, because reading books, audio, listening to podcasts, hearing people's points of view and everything, it made... Well, what was that?
That sounds fake.
My wife just got home.
It taught me a lot, you know, like what I was like thinking, like, why is this all new to me? Because I guess in a way back then, my family, my parents and certain people taught me certain things the wrong way. And I was like, no, that's not how you do. That's not, you know, like to me, like my dad, when my mom and my dad were married, you know, my dad was abusive. So if I was going to be married, am I supposed to be abusive to my wife?
Yeah.
Like shit like that. Just like that wasn't, no, you shouldn't be like that. Like no one taught me to show love and respect to my lady in this, because that's how my dad didn't treat that's how my mom or my dad treated each other. So I saw that when I was young. So I'm thinking like, okay, if I saw that, maybe that's good.
Yeah.
So that's
like
where
you think it's okay. And like,
yeah, back then. But now it's not. So now I'm learning as I'm going. Like now I'm learning to be a father again. I didn't know how to be a father because I was the breadwinner. I was working while my ex-wife was taking care of the kids, but she was neglecting them. Yeah. So now I'm being like a father and a mother now. You know, like what they say, like a mapa. You know, like what they say and everything. So I'm learning that again. But to me, I want to break this cycle where if I this is where I found out. Why did my dad not show me love? Well, you go back to his dad didn't show him love. Right. And you go back to his great-grandpa. Who, my grandpa, when he was young, he had him when he was old. So he was too old to show him love. It's like, well, my dad didn't show me love. When I have kids, I won't show him love and everything. So now I know why. And I'm quickly evolving and learning so much. And that's when I'm going to break this cycle and be a good father and be a good person and do whatever I can to make this podcast better for a lot of the new listeners. To don't be for who you are in the past. Start your day in the future now. and everything.
I think it's well, like I have a young son. He's 7 at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I had him when I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
So
same age as mine.
Oh yeah.
Like I have a son who's like 19, but he has autism, but mild, but not like bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was on accident.
Damn. And for the same reason, like I started off young. Dude, I was a kid. I was a kid. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of get adjusted to these different. Like a different mentality, because I wouldn't say it's something you're really forced into.
Yeah.
It's something that kind of just comes in instinct. I want to say, I hear people say like, "Oh, what if I don't love my son?" I'm like, maybe, there's a chance that you might not like him, or love him, but for the most part, your instinct's gonna kick in. You're gonna want to protect. You're gonna want to feel like you're the care, not the caregiver, but you're gonna be able to be the provider.
Mm-hmm.
And I think. Especially at that age, it's very difficult to kind of figure out what you're going to provide with when you can't even provide for yourself.
That is a good point, but I know I'm going to get shit for this.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it when you want to be in the kid's life, but sometimes, the lady might use their kids against you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you don't, you're a deadbeat dad. You're never this, you're never that. Well, maybe in a way, if you would have sat down and talked to me and be like, hey, why is he not around? Maybe it's you.
Mm.
Maybe it's your attitude. Maybe you can't be mutual. Maybe you're still stuck in the past and you can't dwell to move on and move forward. Like, hey, if shit didn't work out with us, oh well, let's be there for our son.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole name bashing and this and all that, that's one of the reasons why I don't see my daughter, because of her, and because I don't want to be monitored.
Mm.
I want to pick up my daughter and spend time. I don't want to see my daughter where they're still talking shit.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah.
I don't want that shit. I hate it when women say that shit. Like, I don't need you in my life. I can do it without you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, if my mom can do it without her, whatever, I can do it without you. I hate when people talk like that.
Yeah.
I know.
I can relate.
Oh, yeah. I hate.
But, yeah. Like, the reality, for sure, I think the reality things is, like, everybody has to work on not being an asshole, like, for sure. Like, we can all have asshole tendencies. Like, we're gonna get the reaction to want to just like, oh damn, somebody's Fast and Furious outside.
Mm-hmm.
But you're trying to get at the end. We want to sit down and talk like adults.
Yeah, some people just can't talk like adults. That's why when certain people talk to me, they have to be very. I don't want people talk to me like they're on eggshells.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk to me proper. But if they're gonna talk to me all cussy and ghetto and like all that, it's like, why are you talking to me like that? Yeah. Talk to me, just be the cordial. Yeah,
like exactly. You don't want to. Yeah, because it.
I know.
I get what you say, man. I don't even want to touch that subject right now, but
I know.
But going back to, let's just fucking bring it back to reality here. We got bombed. Well, we didn't get bombed.
They bombed us.
So
now
military bases in Iraq got bombed today.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier. We were talking with Dre about how we were talking about trying to decide who were our allies, and our list. I think our list is pretty small. Huh?
Back then it was a lot when the Gulf War, because but now.
During Iraq.
Yeah, man.
9/11.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, I mean, so for the people who've been completely under a rock and oblivious to what happened, there's always been shit with Iran since like the 80s, from what I'm aware of. They fucking try to go into the U.S. embassy, or they held people hostage.
Yeah.
And I think just 2-3 weeks ago, also some sort of militia went in and kind of like went into the embassy, set some of it on fire.
Yeah.
Kept people hostage for like a day or so, and next thing you know, the Trump administration goes in, sends in some drones, sends in some missiles, and kills the fucking military leader of Iran.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what to really say, because I mean, from what my understanding is that this guy's supposed to be the equivalent of like the CIA director, or like some top-notch freaking general from the military here. So it's like, dude, you kill somebody of that like fucking stature here, or that fucking level.
Mm-hmm. Like, the first things first, why was he in Iraq for?
It's supposed to be a peace mission.
And that's where they said, well, we're gonna vote United States out of our country, like and everything. And that's where they started going. The embassy started like doing whatever they can. Yeah. Well, how do we know it was a peace treaty? How do we know that?
I mean, yeah, for sure. Whatever the government tells you, you can't really believe. You're gonna have to do your own research, you know. But I mean, that brings us to Trump admitting that he sent the hit. He was like, "You guys gotta murk him. You guys gotta take him out." And they did what he said, which is kind of, I mean, I get it, because I think some of the reports that came out said that when one of the leaders of the general came out and gave them the options, usually they have like a really fucking like low level option, and then they have like the fucking high risk, like exaggerated, like nuke them. And the president gets to pick what option he wants to go with, and he went with that, which was like one of the highest ones. And it's like, dude, like
general like that, and I mean, you see people mourning for him in Iran and everything. I was looking at it all day, and I was like, just eating my Jack in the Box number 7 double cheeseburger, and I was looking at that. I was like, fuck, man, and everything, and I see people mourn, and I was like, man, and when we have the memes, we talk shit about Trump, or we talk shit like, well, we'll never go to war. Now we're at war, and people like, I saw someone say, hey, all those Trump reporters who was wearing those MAGA hats. They see you say, want to make America great again. Now you go to war now, and where are they at now?
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, everybody's just hiding.
Yeah, like they had the video with Kevin Hart. He's like in Mexico, ¿Cómo estás?
Oh yeah, he's talking. He's trying to talk in Spanish.
Yeah.
Let me pull that shit up real quick. Yeah, dude, that's hilarious. Yeah, like it's funny because I mean, we were only barely a week into 2020.
Yeah.
And the new meme cycle has started. We got World War III. You see World War III memes going on. We got Australia fucking burning, like, and then if it's funny because who's right here? Let me see. I should be able to play this, right, Dre?
Oh, you could try. We'll see what
Let's do a little clip.
Buenas noches, días. 7, 8. Me llamo K22.
K22.
¿Dónde Esteban? ¿Cómo 7, 6?
Oh my god! And then I don't know if you got to see, there was a fucking right New Year's. I think the next morning over there was already New Year's. The Pope slapped somebody's hand.
Oh yeah, that the Japanese or Korean. Yeah, I saw that.
Dude, I thought
but he apologized.
Yeah, he apologized. He had a fucking worldwide apology. But dude, I saw it, and they were using it as memes. Like they put a 2019 over her,
I think she was like a fangirl from the K-pop days. The fangirls get all girls. Japanese and Korean girls get all crazy.
Pope Francis has built his papacy on reaching out.
This real quick.
Breaking news that there was just recently a Ukrainian plane that went down in Tehran.
God damn it!
Shit.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
Shit's about to get real.
I've forgotten.
Let's just look at the Pope slap.
But when this
right
woman unexpectedly grabbed the Pope's hand in St. Peter's Square New Year's Eve, she got a most uncharacteristic reaction. The 83-year-old Francis slapped.
Well, that's what happens, man. You can't just grab the Pope or grab anybody in general.
She's strong, man. Like she pulled him.
Yeah.
I gotta see that slap again. That's a dope slap.
Yeah, he got really
She
mad.
got a most
So he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm happy."
uncharacteristic reaction.
He's like,
The
ow.
83-year-old Francis slapping her hand away.
Man, dude, that's so funny.
She grabbed him. I want to see how that pressure was.
Yeah, it looked like it hurt him.
You think she's not gonna have him?
Oh yeah, she's not gonna get there, man. For
Damn,
sure.
so a fucking airplane went down, huh?
So let's fucking look it up real quick.
Man.
It's a Ukrainian airplane just went down.
Oh, Ukraine?
Ukrainian airplane went down, but it was right after the Iranian president made
Wait,
veiled
it says
threats.
Boeing 737 carrying 180 people crashes in Iran.
Yeah. I mean, well, Ukraine and a lot of other countries buy Boeing airplanes.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, Ukraine. So maybe maybe they were flying on a no-fly zone.
Maybe they thought it was America.
Dude, well, that happened back in the fucking 80s.
Man.
That's what they.
The
that's
U.S.
what
shot down
the
a fucking airplane.
That's what the article was talking about.
It's the USA shooting.
They shot down the Navy
Iran.
shot down their plane, and then supposedly Libya shot down one of our planes, but they thought it was Iran, allegedly.
You see, yeah, Iran Air Flight 655 was a scheduled passenger flight from Tehran to Dubai that was shot down on July 3rd, 1988 by a fucking surface-to-air missile from the USSS, which is United States Navy. And they killed, I think 200 plus people on it, dude. Yeah. And it's like, what? 274 passengers died because the U.S. shot down a fucking passenger airplane.
That's crazy.
Now look at the flight.
And now today's news, just a few minutes out, Boeing 737 carrying 180 people crashes in Iran, and according to this, it was on its way bound for Ukraine, which is Ukraine is a U.S. allied or supported country at the moment. Damn.
World War III's coming, dude. Yeah, man. It's gonna get crazy, man.
Dude.
You know what sucks is this fool's liable to do the draft.
Who?
Trump.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's liable to bring back the draft, and you know all those fools are down with it.
I put a funny meme and some person's like, "You're an asshole," and they say, "Hey, if you want to go to war, we'll take off your child support." When that guy jumped with that knife, you gotta do what you gotta do,
dude. Man, for sure. I mean, I think for sure memes have become this culture of like some dark humor mixed with some like reality, like things, and again like. Fucking the memes started going like crazy. They're hilarious, but there's like for sure like this dark part to it because you know it's there's some reality to it. You know.
Yeah, man. It's just sad when you see a lot of the soldiers going to church praying before they go to war.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
Yeah, dude.
It went deep now. Mm-hmm. It's real now. Like all that funny shit, it's out the door. You know,
it's
and
even worse than 9/11 because at least then we had like gun ho and we were a country as
there was like
unison. Like, everybody backing us. Now it's like
it's divided, dude.
Yeah, I just feel like, man, dude, we're in scary times, and now I feel like a lot of the big superpowers like China, like North Korea, like Russia, I bet you it's gonna be like Red Dawn.
Dude, I wouldn't doubt it.
That wouldn't be scary. I saw that last night, the original one with Patrick Swayze. Oh, rest in peace. Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude, that is. It's definitely scary when you really start thinking about like the scope of how that reality could happen at any moment, especially with any of these conflicts. Like,
imagine being invaded. Yeah. You're coming from San Pedro or in LA, coming to Santa Monica.
Yeah, and I don't know if a lot of people on the West Coast are aware, but in case of any sort of strike, nuclear or just fucking like missile launch,
we're done first.
West Coast is the first one to be hit, you know, because we're the closest ones, just based on the fucking, wherever they're from. But we'll be the first ones to be hit. Probably LA, definitely.
Yeah, man.
So dude, it's fucking crazy, man. It's when I first heard that happened, as people who don't know, World War I was basically started with that fucking Franz Ferdinand getting assassinated.
Oh yeah, and that's what the World War I with the Ottoman Empire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with Germany, who was it? Was it Austria? Germany was packed with someone.
Yeah, they were back with who was it?
Turkey. As the Ottoman Empire. It was Turkey.
Oh yeah, the old school one. Yeah, when they were before they fucking toppled.
They controlled a lot of the Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
And all that stuff too. The World War II. with Japan and. The whole thing with how it started, right?
Which one? The World War II?
Yeah, with all the oil. They're trying to get all the oil over there in China and India and all that. Mm-hmm. So they would have Germany and Japan try to go get all the oil and everything. Mm-hmm. I think the United States stopped giving Japan oil.
Yeah.
And they only had their ration they only had 18 months worth of supplies. And there was no NATO back then.
Yeah, of course.
And that's where they went to war. And Italy wanted to make Italy into the Roman Empire, so he invaded a lot of those countries. Mussolini, but he didn't live that long because they didn't like that shit, and that's what Germany was like. Well, we're on our own now and stuff like that. I can go balls deep and shit because there's a lot of conspiracies with Argentina too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not a conspiracy, but it's pretty obvious. I think the reason they started, that Trump did all this. He's in the process of being impeached. He's about to go to trial.
Yeah.
Which, who knows what's going to happen, which I'm pretty sure he's not going to get it taken out.
Mm-hmm.
But now he attacks, and on an election year, 2020, for people who don't know, November, that's when you get to vote for the next president.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing it during the election year to kind of like, distract the masses and focus on the fact that we might go to World War III and he can be the only one who's going to be able to like...
fuck us.
Yeah, It's like, dude.
It's like if it says something like if he starts bombing like religious church or
the
whatever,
cultural sites,
he'll be charged for war crimes.
Yeah, dude, because that's illegal. That's why ISIS was being fucking pursued. One of the reasons why they were being pursued was because they're going into other countries and defacing or destroying those cultural sites, which is fucking. I think it's the Geneva laws. Like he was talking about you're gonna bomb our people, but we can't bomb your church. It's like whatever. So no, I don't play ball like that. They were talking about that stuff, like you can't bomb our religious church or certain like mosques and everything, because they'll be all at war with the Muslims. Let's see. There's another video that kind of like made me feel a little bit more safe about not getting nuked. But let's see, we are not. It's Iran. They give a speech. We are not against. Oh shit, people. Let's see. Let me look for it real quick here. We got 10 minutes. I think it's one of these that they're just talking about how they don't want to attack the U.S. people. Like, it's not about the U.S. people.
No,
it's about destroying their government. Their
government, yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay, all right, cool, man. You know, just don't fucking nuke us.
I mean, sometimes I feel like if Trump wants to invade, but is it making more like United States more into like an imperialism? That's like how what Japan did when he started conquering all these China, then in the Indos and all that stuff. That's why I feel like you gotta feel that shit. It's like imperialism. He's like, is there something why? Because it's all gonna be about oil.
Yeah,
you know?
Of course. Yeah, that's why they're big buddies with fucking Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they're the guy who got fucking.
I don't know about Saudi Arabia. They see things. They play both sides.
Yeah, that for sure.
Oh, for sure. They have money.
Like, I think it's funny how that whole assassination they did of like the guy who was a reporter for the U.S. from them. Yeah, like Genoshi or something like that. Mm-hmm. Dude, he walked in. There's a video. He walks in. He doesn't come back out, and the person who walks out of the fucking building is a different person wearing his clothes. And
it's crazy.
And it's like, dude, like how? Like, I just want to see his latest fucking. 1 hour ago, Trump tweeted, "All is well. Missiles launched from Iran at 2 military bases located in Iraq. Assessment of casualties and damages taking place now. So far, so good. Dude, like, that's something to be proud of. We have the most powerful and well-equipped military anywhere in the world by far. I will be making a statement tomorrow morning." Dude.
You gotta say that like, here, all is well. Missiles launched from Iran. See, it sounds good. At military bases located in Iraq.
Look what he says right there. He says, we discussed trade, militaries, and oil prices. Like, what? How much the price is going to be? $5 like a gallon?
God, dude.
At Arco or whatever? Security, Middle East. Ooh. Gas prices, you better go get a full tank before shit happens.
Get it now, people. Go to the gas station right now.
They're already gone up.
Yeah. Well, I saw the cheapest was at $2.91.
Yeah.
Over, or in Long Beach at Arcos.
Not here.
No, I mean that's what's supposed to happen, right? The prices are supposed to go lower.
I wonder how many barrels and shit. Like what, two to $300 or $400 a barrel? Fuck that.
They're making fucking. I mean, that's the thing. That's the whole thing about the military complex is set up to be able to, keep you at war every couple of years. To be able to keep that fucking American system going,
Yeah, all the factories, the guns, like the tanks.
Yeah, like the steel, it's all that bullshit. And so it's all those things that the U.S. actually has to export instead of importing everything like they do.
Man. I don't know, man. If he gets reelected again, man, I mean, the economy is doing good. But there is a homeless problem. That is something.
That's for sure.
You see a lot of that shit, but man, dude, if we go to war again, fuck, we're gonna be in the biggest deficit. Then our kids we have to pay that. They have to pay that in taxes when we're not here on Earth.
Do you guys think World War III would happen?
Honest opinion? I think so.
What was it, Dre?
50-50.
50-50?
I think it's a 50-50 chance.
Who do you think was going to bend down first, Iran or U.S.?
What do you mean?
Somebody's going to have to say, okay, let's just make a deal. And then...
Oh, I don't know if there's going to be a deal. But you're saying that if there's going to be World War III, I think it's possible. It could kick off by accident because it's happened so many times. Mm-hmm. They bombed the wrong spot, killed the wrong person. And
right now, I feel like us right now, like, United States is very fragile because... we spend so much on the war fighting in Iraq and in Afghanistan, and we don't have the resources, we don't have the money for it now because now, like I said, Red Dawn, they can invade us. Like this is a perfect time to invade.
I think it's kind of crazy too, right? I think last week, some I know Africa. There's a lot of there's a big movement of like militia and like fucking
in Congo.
And there's a huge group that nobody really talks about. In fucking Africa, and they've been attacking U.S. bases. So, dude, the moment Africa decides to we're gonna go against these guys too, they're gonna take control of that fucking
crazy, man.
Continent again.
It's man. It's a lot because little by little, if you see like a lot of the countries on top are moving down, where the Muslims, they're trying to make everyone as the Muslim countries and stuff like that. So that's why you have South Africa and a lot of Angola, then Zimbabwe and everything. They don't want all that stuff. They just want to live life. But it's right now we're living in like really scarce times, you know, a lot of bombings, you know, like a lot of like what happens if we can be here and start bombing, dude, anything like suicide bombs, crazy shit, you know. It happens a lot over there in England too, you know.
For sure, man. That's what I know. I mean, I guess whoever stays on top of it is pretty good at their job. But to this point, since 2001, since 9/11, I'm surprised there hasn't been like some fucking crazy suicide bomber shit. You know, I know there's been bombings and stuff, but for somebody from like the opposite kind of shit coming in, I mean, I think the fucking marathon. No, that wasn't really part of like a
Boston Marathon
political thing.
Kind of more like,
that was a terrorist attack.
Terrorist attack.
It was a terrorist attack.
Boston Marathon, that was a terrorist attack.
Yeah, but even then, people say they were set up, like they were working with the fucking CIA.
Oh. Yeah, man. Do you feel like us? Do we feel like the United States is more like an imperialism?
I would say, yeah, man.
Now, like how Japan
it's hidden.
was?
Yeah, it's like.
But very.
I mean, not to that extreme. I wouldn't think.
Because Obama had like a lot of drones.
Yeah.
You know, but now I see it more like Trump picks. We're going to war because of fucking Twitter.
Yeah, dude, this guy doesn't know how to he doesn't know how to shut up. Like every now and then. Yeah, he doesn't. I don't know, but I would think, like you say more by like just keeping it in your circle and acting on it, and type of like. Fuck. I don't know. That's just me.
It's crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah, dude. We see we got 3 minutes here.
It's all good.
Dude, it was a great conversation, man.
It's deep. Hey, I just want to say thank you for letting me come on the podcast, man. It's deep talk.
Thanks, man. I mean, again, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it, and I hope it's not the last time we talk. And you know,
I'll probably get you on my podcast. You know,
sweet,
have you on.
Sweet. Stay tuned, people.
You know
it. The mighty Paris wants to know what you bumping in the whip most frequently lately.
To who? Either of us?
Yeah,
both of us?
You guys.
What do you mean?
To like, I guess the music, right?
What music you bumping in
my car? All right, cool, man. I'm like out of the lingo, dude.
That's all right.
You know what music I was listening to on one of your episodes? Those two girls singing Soleta.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's like
I
some
was hearing
disco
that all last
shit.
night. I was hearing that all last night, like 20 times. Like, that's a good beat song.
Dude, that's a badass song. Yeah.
How'd you find them?
Instagram, dude. They just popped up in my feed. I followed them.
That was a good song,
dude. And I listened to it. I'm like, hell yeah. I think it's a call song. I think she's called Soltera.
Yeah.
The song's called In El Club or something.
I heard it and I was like, that's the perfect outro song. I was like, and I like it's like, where can I find it? I look like, hell yeah, he put it on.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to it like all night.
Yeah,
but I listen to a lot of indie and like A$AP Rocky and stuff like that, you know, like a lot of indie music. You know?
Okay.
I'm more of an indie guy.
Yeah, same here. If anything, to answer that person's question, I've been listening to a lot more like dark post-punk music. If you want a recommendation, the band's called The Soft Moon, and the song's called Lost Years. It's kind of like Soltera type song.
My cousin has a punk band, well known, called Dead 77.
Oh, okay.
And I listen to the old school Theatics and stuff like that, you know. And everything. Yeah.
Add that to your playlist.
Yeah.
But I do thank you again. If people want to find out more about the Megaman Podcast or about yourself, where can they follow you?
They can follow me on Instagram at the Megaman's Podcast, and my personal page at Megaman6980. I will be taking a couple months off. We got a minute. I will be taking a couple months off. I'm gonna redo the podcast. I'm gonna handle the social media, Facebook, Patreon, Periscope, like the whole 9 yards. And plus, I'm gonna get more heavy hitter guests to come on. I'd love to have you on, Eddie.
Dude, anytime. Let me know, and I'm honored.
Yeah. And we're gonna take it, to spend time with the family and all that stuff. And we're just, like I said, I'm gonna take one episode at a time, and it's all about networking. It's all helping each other out.
It's exactly, dude. That's what. If we're not doing it together, dude, we gotta start working together.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Everybody has to rise up.
Oh yeah.
But thank you again, dude. Thank you so much. And for everybody listening, check out the Megaman Podcast. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right. Later, guys.
Thank you.
Late.
Peace. Dre, thank you again.
Late.
Always.
Dre, thanks.
Peace.
Late.
Hit the button to begin.